Okay, John Tapp again. This is my third in my New Zealand series of three. This one I'm going to cover how to set up Procoder to do an interval code. Uh, like I said in the last video, you can merge them if you want to. Like if you're coding the same video and you want to merge intervals uh, into a frequency and duration code, you can. It's probably better to just two different analysis sets, but anyway, if you have that kind of question, then please contact me and we'll talk about it. But just for this demo's sake, I'm going to cover how to set up Procoder and Moose's to do intervals in Procoder. Just you want to play a section of tape and make a judgment about it. So first thing again is the code file. I made a code file for this. The difference here is the sampling. We put interval sampling on all the groups. Now there's a couple ways you could approach this. I'm going to approach it like each interval is just one of these. You could approach it like each interval is literacy or not. Each interval is language or not. In that case, you would put different groups for each of those two. Or if there's a group that's going to be one of these, like say it's going to be language, literacy, math, or nothing, then you could make that into group one, and then you want to and then you pick for that interval one of those. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you can contact me and we can discuss it. I do like to have something that means nothing's going on or none of these applied, so I put in an extra code. Again, she'd send me a Word file with this stuff in it. She didn't have nothing, so I put nothing at the end there. And I'll show you how that applies in a second. And again, you want to save it as a Procoder code file. The formats are slightly different. I've already done that, so I've got the PCDV interval coding code here. And I'll just replace it. And again, you don't need these collector labels and rows in business, but you do need to tell it that that group is a count group. And with intervals, every group is going to be a count group. You just get the count of intervals that had happened. It's really not durations to those. So that's how you set the code file up. The file on there. Okay, so let's look at Procoder, how you would use it in Procoder. So Procoder, I'm going to do a new observation file again. This one I'm going to name. I have to go back to her folder because I've been playing with videos. Just, observation data, Terra. Terra, where's Terra? R-S-T, Tara. Anyway, so this is a Procoder interval test. Oops. Like I said in the first video, come up with names that describe who coded it and what subject it is and that kind of thing. So none of the names are the same. And by looking at all the names of all these files, you can tell what they are. So you don't have to open them up, tell what they are. Okay. And again, I'm going to browse for a media file. Go to the video. Pick another one, maybe G-Baby. If I hit the media bit key, there I am playing drums. This is a bunch of jazz workshop files I have. Me playing drums at the jazz workshop. Notice until I pick a code file, you don't really get descriptions, and the data grid's set up really well. So I'm going to browse for that code file. I should have done that first. It's in my observation data, Terra, and it's the PCDV interval coding code file. So now my data grid should be set up with the time. Okay, and the trick is to do intervals in here is in the option settings. So here's the options window. You want to set this to play from the previous event time or beginning. And in the data options, you want to do the interval time data fill. Quick keys really aren't too relevant. You can still use them if you want, but if you hit the key, it's not going to mark the intervals right. So I would really turn that off for an interval code. And she said 15 seconds, so I'm going to make it 15 here. And so those are the key things you want to do to set up an interval code is turn the interval time data fill on and change the replay to play from the previous code or the beginning. Okay, so that's set up. Now, if I go into the data thing and I mark the first time, that's going to be 0 because the video is sitting at 0. And I'll pick one of these, say we're doing literacy. So then when I add a row, it makes it 15 seconds. So I can go to that row and I can hit the replay key, which is also on here. So you just learn to do Control A and it'll save you some time. I'm going to hit the replay button and you'll see it plays to 15 here and it'll stop. So you watch the video and then it stops, and then you make your judgment and say it's language learning going on then. Then you add a row, that goes to 30, then you hit replay again, it's going to play from 15 to 30. And she had said in her Word file about 5-second coding time, and you really don't need that with this because it stops the tape at that time, so you can code the whole tape and you don't miss anything while you're picking a code. So you're just doing math there, and I'm going to add another row, go to there, hit the replay key. It's going to play from 30 to 45. My friend's playing saxophone. And it's going to stop at 45. And then I'm going to pick what happened. And like I was saying earlier, if you had other groups, you'd have other rows here. So if it's a mutually exclusive group, you can just pick for each row what the group is, and you can set that up in the groups by just giving them different groups numbers. So that's basically how to code with this. Save it. Close this and save it, and then I'll show you how to tweak it to do the analysis on this kind of file. Okay, so I have a interval test code here somewhere. Oh, PC interval test. Drag that in here. I've already got my code file for it loaded. That's this one. In the analysis preferences in this time format, we want to tell it they're fixed interval data right here. The time convert doesn't really matter because the time unit now is the interval. So as long as we tell it it's fixed interval data and it's Procoder data, we're good. Clear the output file. I couldn't find it because I cleared it already. And I'm going to say it's a text file, and I'm going to run a test read, just to run a test read. Oops. Oh, I cleared the comma separated file, but not the text file. I run a test read, there it is. And look at the frequencies and durations on intervals. It's basically just going to be counts of intervals. So run that. So we see how many intervals it was in each thing. And again, you could have different groups if you wanted. So that's the basics of that, and the same kind of thing into a comma separated file. Goes into Excel, and it's the count for each interval, for each code, for each interval. Same kind of thing as the other videos, but only we're talking about intervals now. Hope that's clear. I hope this series has been helpful. As always, contact me if you have questions about anything, and we'll get you fixed up. Beautiful day here in Tennessee, and I think I'll end out this series and see you next time. Thanks for listening.